Awesome.
Yeah, so welcome back to the HOOA podcast. There are fans out there who've been waiting a long time for this one. I got my friend coming on. It's also full circle for me. Just like if you've watched the Chance Lunsford edition, I was on his podcast and then he was on mine. And with this guest, I have the same thing. So it's full circle again. And I'm really glad to have him on.
Well, thanks, Fury. It's pretty amazing. You were one of my first guests on my podcast back in, I think it's been a couple years now. It's been a while. So it's really neat we were just talking about this, but it's really neat to talk to somebody that I actually know and somebody I've been talking to for a long time. I mean, it's gotten to a point where we're like brothers or friends. So,
Yeah.
uh, yeah, my name is Ryan Felman. I run Path to Manliness. Sometimes they call me Path to Manliness.
Or PTM.
Um, yeah, or PTM. So, real quick story about me. I was kind of the average dude, like most guys, just kind of coasting through life. I had a decent little 9 to 5 job. I was spending most of my time playing video games, watching sports, drinking beers, typical dude stuff. And then house got hit with a bolt of lightning.
Mm-hmm.
And I've been trying to like fully explain the whole story with the lightning thing, but
Yeah.
it's been a struggle. But I was sitting at home one day and this lightning bolt hit my house.
Uh-huh.
Like
Oh, was it a
legitimately hit
physical lightning bolt?
an actual lightning bolt hit
Oh,
my
I
house.
thought
Yeah.
like metaphorically like
No,
lightning
I
bolt.
know. And like I've tried writing this. I'm like, it sounds fake. It sounds weird. It sounds like a metaphor, but like a real lightning bolt hit my house.
Yeah, for sure.
And um it's stunning. It's loud. It's really bright. And like I remember like jumping out of my couch, getting ready to fight. Like it was one of those moments where you don't even know what's going on. But
Yeah.
it fried all sorts of stuff in my house, messed up
Oh.
my fridge, some of my TVs, a couple of game systems got like fried. And I was like, all right, whatever. Call the insurance company. And of course, they couldn't cover it because it wasn't quite enough monetary damage. And then I start looking at my savings and I'm like, why don't I have enough money to cover all this stuff? I work hard enough. I should have enough money. So it sends me down this rabbit hole. And I look and find that all this money's going missing through the credit card that my wife uses. And I start doing a little digging and I start realizing she's doing the cash back thing like several times a day. And I'm like, all right, that's weird. What's she spending the money on? So I kind of start prying her and asking her these questions as she comes clean. And she had been taking out all this extra cash to go and buy like opiates on the street. And, there was all these kind of like unexplained absences that I just didn't quite notice, but started looking into it. And this had been something that she had battled with in the past. And I thought she was past it, but uh, it was kind of the final straw. There was other issues going on, but it woke me up. So we went through this divorce, and as we're going through the divorce, I started kind of realizing, I'm like, I know she's got her flaws, but she had a couple points. I'm not perfect either. And I've been kind of sleeping through life. So this lightning bolt and all this stuff like literally woke me up out of the slumber. So
that's pretty cool.
It was kind of that hero's journey moment where like I really felt low. I was down. I lost all my money. I was actually like 30 grand in debt by the end of this divorce.
Oh shit.
And and it was like really frustrating. It's like, man, I worked hard. I was making pretty good money, but now I'm like, I was 29 or 30 years old.
Yeah.
I had to start all over.
Yeah.
And I was like, all right, this sucks. I kind of sat and moped about it for a couple of days. Then I realized, I'm like, well, maybe this is an opportunity. I can fix all these issues. So I started going to the gym way more often. I stopped spending so much time watching football. I started going on these bike rides all the time. And then my lawyer's assistant said one thing to me as we were kind of wrapping things up. So I was getting kind of upset and angry at things. And she could tell I was just kind of like losing it.
Yeah.
She goes, "You're gonna laugh at me about this." She goes, "But a lot of people that have been going through what you're going through, one thing that's really helped them is journaling." And I was a very different person when she said this to me, right? So my first response was journaling. Like, isn't that like what little girls do in their diary?
Yeah.
And I was like, all right, thanks for the advice. And then I would go through my day, something would happen. My ex-wife would do something, or my lawyer would call me up with some information that just annoyed me. And I'm like, all right, I'm angry, I'm upset, I'm gonna go to the gym, which worked once a day. Now, if a second thing happened, I couldn't go to the gym again, right?
Yeah.
I'm already like worn out.
Yeah.
So that happened one day, and I was like sitting there, I'm like, my arms are shredded, I'm just tired. I'm like, all right, let's do this journaling thing. So I grab
Yeah.
out a notebook and start writing down my thoughts. And I was like, that actually kind of made me feel better.
Mm-hmm.
And I stuck with it. I kept journaling. I wrote through like an entire moleskin notebook.
Oh shit.
And I mean, I think I can't explain this enough to people, because people start a lot of stuff and they don't think it's good and they quit.
Sure.
That whole first notebook was terrible. Like there was almost nothing redeemable in that notebook. Like there weren't good ideas, there wasn't good stories. It was just anger and frustration. But then like towards the end, it started getting away from that, and it started becoming more of like, here's what I've been doing to change my life, and here's why things are working.
Yeah.
And by the time I started the second notebook, I'd become a pretty good writer.
Yeah.
And when I had finished probably 2 or 3 of these, I was like, it feels good to write and get the stuff out there, but maybe other people want to hear some of this. So I started writing online, and that's what led to the creation of Path to Manliness.
Yeah. It's a cool origin story, man. Yeah.
It's pretty wild. I don't know if I've ever shared that lightning story too much.
I know like tidbits of details
Yeah.
from one of your blog posts. That's like that I call the origin story of Path to Manliness. I read
Yeah.
that one time. It was really inspiring, especially like the roller
Thanks,
coaster
man.
types of thing that you've gone through. But I didn't
It's
know the key role that journaling played into it, like the little puzzle pieces. I didn't know that.
yeah. Yeah, I mean, it saved me. And
Yeah.
it's hard to talk about, like I don't like to talk about like my down moments in life.
Sure.
I don't like to talk about my struggles too much.
Sure.
Um, I like to talk about my victories and my wins,
Of
but
course.
I've learned that other people can be inspired by it.
Yeah.
I think people like the story of like, hey, I was struggling through this. I'm sure other people are too.
Yeah.
Here's how I dealt with it.
Yeah. I was just thinking about it the other day. It's something quite tribalistic. If you look back,
Yeah,
people
definitely.
struggle, and if they, let's say, you're like some weird robot or something, that always wins, they can't relate to that, and
Yeah,
that relating is also a form of like emotional empathy. Like they
yeah,
want to discharge or get like an emotional, it's like a currency or like a current. There's like this wave between people, and that's why, for example, David Goggins is so relatable. They know he didn't
yes,
he didn't come like like God. He didn't like come out of lightning like that. They know he was like
yeah,
really
for
fat.
real.
His
His
story is
story is
also amazing.
incredible.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was out for a bike ride one day when I listened to that story, and I remember
Yeah.
just like sitting down and like I had to stop at one point. I just like I stopped my bike and I hopped off. I was like, all right, wait, what just happened? I pulled my phone out of my pocket and rewound it a couple of minutes and I had to like re-listen to it. I'm like, this guy is absolutely insane, and
Yeah.
I don't know. He doesn't resonate with me as much as he does with other people. Like I
Yeah.
like his story, but I
Yeah.
think the way he goes about it's really aggressive and it doesn't really mesh for me.
Yeah.
But one thing that he said that really stuck with me, and it's something I've kind of kept, is the whole idea of like, we don't give 100%. We always stop at, what is it, 40% or
Yeah.
50
The
or whatever he
40% rule.
says.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And like there's so many days where I'm working out and the sun's in my face and I'm getting like whitewashed.
Yeah. So I want to warn you actually, but are you good? Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. We'll just turn it. And yeah, so I'll be working out and I'm like, I'm done. I can't go any farther.
Yeah.
And then I start thinking about that. I'm like, you know what? I'm letting my inner bitch win. He's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I gotta tough it out.
Yeah. No, I'll keep it short, but he was a huge inspiration for me as well. Specifically running. I had plateaued a long time at the 7 kilometer benchmark, which is something like 10 miles or something.
Yeah.
And I plateaued really hard. Like I could not break this. And then I saw a video of David Goggins running in the Nevada desert, or like he does always. And I don't know what it was, but that day I went out there and I thought, you know, I'd rather die than not cross that 7 kilometer mark, you know,
Yeah.
or I'm coming home like a failure. But so
Yeah.
I literally thought I was breaking my knees, which was not the case, but it really, really hurt. But something chemically or like in my endocrine system happened that day that pushed like the stress threshold a little bit higher than I used to was able to like cope with. And ever since then, I went on to run 2 marathons, just because of David
Wow.
Goggins. Like he put like David Fosby, you know, people never thought you could spring over that like pole, you know, backwards.
Yeah.
They
Pole
always thought
vault.
you had to do it from the front side
Yeah.
until Dick Fosby came. He said, "Yo, guys, that's stupid. Just do it like this. It's better." And they were like, "Nah, nah, nah, that's not true." He basically put it like a new benchmark, just like David
Yep.
Goggins for me. And yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah, that's really cool. Yeah, I that's one of the reasons I like doing these Spartan races and the 5K, 10K, whatever. Um I I did my first ultra marathon last year and I
Shit.
failed it. But it was one of those things I kept training and training and training, and I was like, I don't know if I can do this. I think I'm ready. And it's kind of funny because I didn't realize what was happening until months later.
Sure.
But Jan 1 of 2020, I got really sick,
Okay.
and I had this race to run Jan 22, I think it was like 3 weeks later.
Okay.
And for 10 days I lost 11 pounds. I was like so sick I couldn't get out of bed a few days. I didn't know what it
Yeah.
was. Looking back on it, probably COVID.
Yeah.
And
Oh yeah,
but
for
like,
sure. That's the time period. Yeah.
yeah, but at the time, like, people weren't saying it was in America, and I was looking at that map, and it wasn't where I lived.
Mm.
But anyway, so like 2 weeks after that happens, I'm like, I gotta go run this race, and I'm thinking like, oh, this is great. I lost all this weight, I'll be fine.
Yeah.
But like, it definitely like zapped my energy. I was not 100%, and not being reserved, thinking I'm Path to Manliness, I can crush anything. I got that David Goggins mindset going. I'm
Yeah.
like, I can run an ultra marathon, sure. And everyone's like, you haven't even run a regular marathon yet. I'm like, yeah, well, this one's scheduled now, and the
Yeah.
marathons are later, so I'm doing this one now.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it was a 50K. It was 31 miles, which I
Shit.
could have done,
Yeah.
but it was in the mountains of North Carolina, and
Ah.
like, it was honestly like the highest terrain I'd ever seen in my life. Like, not
I,
even like run, but I'd never been up that high on a mountain before in my life.
yeah. 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 Yeah.
And I was like, I was running, and I got like 15 miles in, and it started raining, and I'm like, I'm in trouble.
Yeah.
Like, my legs started hurting.
Yeah.
I was struggling getting up, and I'm like, I just got to keep pushing.
Mm-hmm.
It's only like 15 more miles to go. I got this.
Yeah.
And I just kept pushing and pushing. I remember hitting one of the little like rest stop thing, the aid station.
Mm-hmm.
And this guy offered me a shot of whiskey, and then this girl had some soup, and I'm like, oh hell yeah, it's raining, but I got whiskey in me now. Like, I can do this. So I
Yeah.
pumped
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
through a few more miles, and I got to around like mile 20, and I was like, I'm done.
Yeah.
I was like, I gotta stop. And my body was telling me I gotta stop. My legs were killing me. My IT band was bothering me. My toes hurt. It was raining. And I was like looking around, and I'm like, dude, I don't think I can stop here. Like, I didn't see any runners for a while.
Oh shit. Yeah.
There was like no aid stations. I'm like, I don't even know what mile I'm at. So I start looking at my phone. I was gonna pull up their website and track and see like how far I had to run to get to the next aid station, because it's to the
Sure.
point where like, do I run? Do I walk? Like, how do I get to it? It
Yeah.
started feeling like a survival situation.
Yeah. Yeah. You become
And
quite tactical actually in that mode. I
yeah,
remember.
you do. And like, I remember like looking around being like, all right, maybe if I go this way, it'll be faster. And I started looking at my phone on my map, but there was like no cell signal where I was at, no internet. And
Shit.
I'm like, I just got to keep moving. Like,
Yeah.
I just got to put one foot in front of me. And I'm like, all right,
Yeah.
I'm just going to take one step at a time. So,
Yeah.
I mean, I was done. But it was also that 40% mark. Like, I
Yeah.
had more in me. So I
Yeah. Yeah.
ran, I ended up running like another like 4 or 5 miles.
Shit.
And so I knocked out like 25 miles.
That's good, man.
And I
That's
get to this
powerful
aid
shit.
station, and like, there was this big group of girls. They were from some church or Christian group. They were super cool. And they're like, you look rough. I'm like, I need to stop.
Yeah.
they're like,
Yeah.
they're like, no, you can make it. I'm like, listen, I've been done like for 5 miles. Like
Yeah.
I can't feel my legs. I
Yeah.
probably broke something.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
didn't know it, but later on, like 2 of my toenails fell off.
Yeah.
You know, I was in rough shape. So I sat there and I drank some soup with them. Oh, and it was cold. I was like freezing. It was like I was fine when I was running, but as I was starting to slow down, I wasn't running quite as fast. So I was getting cold. I'm like, listen, if I stay out here
Crazy.
another like 5 hours, it's gonna get darker and colder.
Yeah.
I'm gonna do something bad to my knee, and I'm probably gonna get like hypothermia. So
Yeah.
I
Yeah. That's
I
dangerous.
called it quits. I'm like, you
Yeah.
know what? I've never run this far on a mountain before. This
Yeah.
isn't exactly a loss. I'll take it.
Yeah.
And yeah, that was about a year ago, and like
Shit.
I think about that race all the time. I'm like, I'm gonna go back there. I don't know
Yeah.
when, but I'm not gonna go back there like half-ass ready. Like I'm gonna go back there and I'm gonna crush it and I'm gonna feel
Yeah.
good when I get done. So
Yeah.
I've got a couple races scheduled right now. I've got one this weekend in Mississippi. It's kind of like a Spartan race, but it's a different group, like an obstacle course
Mm-hmm.
race. And then I'm gonna run my first marathon ever in November. And I'm not sure where that's gonna be yet. Somewhere in Tennessee.
That's pretty dope. Wish you lots of luck with that, man.
Yeah,
Um,
thanks, man. I mean, you've run two of them. That's impressive.
yeah, how do you say, talked about that story a lot in the past, but
Yeah.
I don't run anymore these days because I'm one of those bros now that just lives. but
Yeah.
but I can share a story actually after my like glory days, like nothing gold can stay, like Robert Frost
Yeah.
says. So I was this hotshot that can run marathon with low training, in my head.
What I heard. I can't believe that. Like I
Uh,
was I was so impressed. I did that with a 5K and I
yeah.
thought that was hard.
Um, like, yeah, I can share some tips after the story, like why I
Okay.
was able to do it. I think but so anyway, I had not been running for a whole year and had this new 9 to 5 that was killing me. Like I had got a little bit like a belly, and your back and shit like that. But there was this company. It was 15K. So if for most people that don't know, like a marathon is about 40-ish K. You know,
Yeah.
I'll be thinking like 15K. That's easy because that's underneath the half.
Yeah.
I
It's
just signed up
nine
for it.
point nine
Yeah,
point three three miles.
yeah,
Yeah.
something like that. I sign up to it, and typical me, I don't train for it, and I get like the notification on my company mail. I'm like, ah, fuck, that's next week. Something typical Goggins kind of situation always. But I think I don't need to train, of course, so I don't train. But a big difference was when I was running. Actually, I did not smoke cigars, but
Yeah.
that got new to me. I So this was gonna kill me, but I didn't know it at that moment. But so I go there, and you have these guys. I meet the team, the company team. It's like companies against companies or something. And you have these guys. They look really fit, and they're stretching and shit. I never stretch, I'm one of those guys. And they say to me like, "You've been training for this?" I say, "Fuck you think? It's 50 kilometers. Why would I train for this?" I still had this like hubris, like crazy, insane arrogance almost. But so I started running, and I see these guys. They dart away like fucking flash. They go really fast. I'm thinking, okay, I can never catch up to them. Let them win whatever company points, but I will finish this because I'm good. So I remember the first 10 kilometers were pretty okay, but at the last five, I the sun was shining and I got a little bit overheat, and I was like, yeah, this is definitely not my old form,
Yeah.
something like twitched in my brain, and I got really hot, and then my lungs, and I thought, oh, of course, I've been like smoking these fucking cigars, fuck my life. But I managed to like finish the 5 kilometers just by like one step in front of the other, tough it out.
Oh yeah.
But
I
there,
know.
my mom was there or something. She was taking photos, and you see like I'm so like yeah, I was not that marathon level anymore, and that hurt my ego a little bit, I think. And I
Yeah.
kept it in mind, and I will go back, like ultra marathon and stuff like that. I have it in my mind. I will do it once more, but yeah.
Yeah, definitely, man. Yeah, that's how I train the best. I'll admit last year was tough on me because like everybody else, COVID hit
Sure.
and the shutdown happened. And
Yeah.
then like I think almost everybody got demoralized, at least to some extent. And I remember like talking a big game on Twitter. I was working hard because I already had it. And once I figured that out, I started feeling kind of tougher and invulnerable. I'm like, I don't have to worry about going out and getting sick, whatever this
Okay.
thing is. I already had it. And
Yeah.
people are like, you can get it again. I'm like, yeah, but it won't be as hard the second time.
Sure.
So I wasn't worried about it. And I was working out like crazy because after I lost that weight, I actually got scared at first because the way the media was talking about it. I'm like, all right,
Sure.
if this thing's serious, I'm going to lose weight again. I'm going to
Yeah.
beef up. So I put the 10 pounds back on in muscle. Like I just started like working out like crazy. I'm like, this thing ain't killing me. Um, but then I would have these races scheduled. Like I had a Spartan race scheduled. I ran one in Jacksonville, and then another one got scheduled, and then they canceled it. And it was like, shit, man. I'd been running half marathons every single weekend for like 2 months. Like I would spend, what is that, like 2 hours pretty much every single Saturday going out on this run.
Yeah,
And
takes a
I'm
lot of
like
time. Yeah.
pumped to go and just crush this like 8 mile race that I was gonna do. I don't even remember what the race was anymore. And then they canceled it like 2 weeks before. I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? Like so it bummed me out. I was like, all right, fuck it. So I just went back to like lifting more, and I was kind of eating more, and I was drinking beers, and I put the weight on. It's like everything was shut down, gyms were closed.
Shit, yeah.
I was still working out, but I had to find me like a speakeasy gym for a little while.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah,
But it was tough. But now like I joined this race. I didn't even like really plan on doing it. I was gonna skip it. And then 2 weeks into it, I got convinced by my friends to go run this race. I'm like, all right. And I'll tell you what, it makes a huge difference when you got that race coming up. Like you stop eating like junk, you stop having that extra beer or two with your friends. You actually hit all your workouts and then some. I mean, I've probably lost like 8 pounds just in the last like 10 days just training for this
that's good,
thing.
man. Yeah, I've had that as well, because I think it's the influence here is the Twitter for me. All the fitness coaches were saying 12 weeks until summer. Yeah, I was like, yeah, it's true. And I don't know how it's gonna go with like shutdowns and lockdowns, but I like to be like more white pill, more optimistic. I'll be thinking,
me too.
When something is gonna be open and I release my shirt, they're gonna think, yo, this guy, he was in lockdown like a prisoner, like a prisoner. Something like that. So I was thinking, okay, I lost a couple pounds the last few weeks as well. Like it's going insane.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah, because you mentioned like demoralizing. I know what you mean. I know what I went through last year as well. I can only speak for myself. I know if I don't work out, even if I miss 1 day or 2 day, my something will happen with my mind. It becomes so foggy, like the brain fog. I will become. It's a vicious cycle. I stop moving, just moving. Then I don't want to go out. Then suddenly cotton webs come in my fucking room. Then I become, So I have to move. I know I have to move. Even if I were not to have like access to my dumbbells, I would just take long walks and just fucking in the woods, just fucking stare in nature or something,
Dude, there's always something you can do. I remember a few years ago, I like just bought a house and it was kind of far from my gym. I didn't have a home gym yet. And I found this thing called the convict conditioning workout.
That's a cool one. I have that one.
It's good stuff. It's like doing push-ups, doing sit-ups, grab a little bench or a chair and do like tricep. And like, the whole idea is like, all right, you're stuck in a jail cell. How do you work out? And like, you see Michael Vick come out of prison after, his little stint. The guy's like jacked. I'm like, all right, apparently you don't need a gym. So there's no excuses. There's plenty of ways you can make it work.
I'm a huge body weight, like upper body proponent, like dips, push-ups, and pull-ups, because of like Bobby Maximus. Like I used to follow him in a long time. Like this fitness coach from Vancouver, Canada. He trained Superman and stuff like that. And I follow him, and he always on his Instagram reels he does body weight. He does dips. You see him just listening to DMX the other day, just doing dips. And I'm thinking, this guy, he was quite big. He just eats a lot though, but he looks in good shape. And he always says, if you want to look like a prisoner, you got to do these things, like that cut and shredded look, because that's what they do, like dips the whole day, push-ups, in their fucking cell.
I got this group that I go running with. They work at this karate dojo, and Monday nights we do like this thing. It's like this like really intense fitness class, and the whole thing's just body weight stuff. And then we'll do stuff. We'll do like bag work too. So it'll be like, all right, we're gonna do 10 push-ups here, sprint down to the bag, punch the bag a couple times, do like 10 reps on the bag, and then sprint back. Then do like 8 push-ups, sprint back 8 times on the back, and then sprint back. And like, we'll do that for like 45 minutes. And
that's good shit.
Dude, the first time I did it, I was like so close to puking. I was like bending over. I was probably 30 pounds heavier back then too. So I was like way out of shape. And I was doing that every Monday for like, I don't know. That was part of how I lost all that weight when I first got into the whole Path to Manliness thing. Because I met these people and they were like, constantly motivating me and constantly keeping up with me. And, that was a huge switch for me. Instead of having these friends that would text me on a Friday night, being like, hey, you want to come to the bar and have a few beers with us? Like suddenly I was having these guys say, hey, tomorrow morning, and it was always on a Friday too. It's like they knew, hey, tomorrow morning we're gonna meet at this trail at the woods. You wanna go
Yeah.
for a run? And I was like, well, I should probably stop drinking then. And it was enough motivation to
Yeah.
say, like, I don't need a drink tonight. Tomorrow morning I'm gonna wake up early,
Yeah.
go for a run, and
Accountability.
I'll feel
Yeah.
way better. Yeah. It's a huge part of growing up.
Yeah. Yeah, that's definitely true. I see a lot of people, they blow themselves up because they don't have the right circles. You just
Yeah.
see it. And it's one of those questions they always ask, like, what do I do with this and that? And then you can just see that they have the wrong friends, you know?
Yeah.
And I've been seeing some new people, and I keep my friends circle so tight knit that as soon as I see somebody with a lot of friends, a little bit, it could just be like 4 or 5. That's a lot in my
Sure.
head, you know. But then I don't know what it is, but I smell when boundaries are not proper, you know. So I just made like an off the cuff remark to this person. I said, I think your boundaries are not good, you know. I try to be less direct, but a little bit like be careful with these types of personality types that I can smell. Some people can be draining to the energy, but
Yeah.
this person is a little bit open-minded and was like, just made a mental note somewhere in the back of the head, you know. And but was thinking, Fury is a little bit maybe too skeptical or too cynic. These are my friends, I like them. But then fast forward a couple months later, this person was saying to me like, hey, I think you were right on that aspect. I wasn't enforcing my boundaries enough, and
Yeah.
they had been draining my energy. And I had a new job, and it was a little bit, I didn't like it, and I was like, yeah, I told you, because I like to like almost be like a lone wolf, like solitude. And once you get your things going, then you can let people in slowly, you know? Like put on your oxygen mask first, they say, you know?
Yeah. I think you're right about that. I've moved a lot over the years. I've been stable. I've been in the same place for the last 3.5 years, so which is nice. But like for the first,
Yeah.
you know, decade of my adult life, like
Hmm.
from 18 to I guess like 28 or so, like most guys in that age, like I was moving around a lot for
Hmm.
jobs
Yeah.
and trying to find the right place to live. And yeah, it becomes this thing where you're constantly trying to find people to hang out with. You get
Sure.
almost desperate because like as a dude, like it's hard to meet new like guy friends. Like it
Yeah,
sounds weird.
that's actually true. That's actually true.
There's that movie, I Love You Man, that talks about it's like, dude, how do you meet a friend? Like, what's a weird concept? And like,
Yeah.
I didn't know
It's
any
a good
better.
movie.
So I'd meet people through work and they'd want to go out drinking. And I'd meet people at the bars I'd hang out with sometimes. So they always want to go drinking. And
Yeah.
then like occasionally I started meeting people at the gym and that
Sure.
made a much bigger difference. But
Yeah.
the best thing that's helped me in this last move was joining this karate dojo. Cause I mean, I'm there pretty much every single week at the same
Yeah.
time. So I'm seeing the same people. And for that first month or two, it's just kind of like, hey, how you doing? No big deal. But then like after a few months, it's like, oh, hey Matt, how you been, man? Hey, how's your kid? And next thing you know, it's just like, oh yeah, we've been training together.
Yeah.
Guys don't form friendship by just saying like, let's hang out together. Like we got
No.
to do something
Yeah, you gotta
collective.
do
Like,
stuff. You gotta do
yeah,
stuff.
like I think girls, maybe I'm wrong, but I think women can like just hang out. Like let's just talk. Let's just go grab some wine. Let's go grab some coffee. We'll hang out.
Mhm.
Guys, we got to have like nah, hanging out's weird, dude. Seems kind of gay. That's a little
Yeah.
sus.
Yeah.
Let's go run together or let's go hit the gym together. And
Yeah.
then like once you have like that shared thing, and karate is perfect for that. It's like you
Yeah.
actually train together,
Mhm.
you can rely on each other. There's something primal in that where
Yeah.
it's like,
No,
I
like
know this guy is not a little bitch. He's not gonna like turn his tail and run.
no, that's definitely another thing. Like guys always like to size each other up,
Yes. Yeah.
especially with those qualities that you mentioned just now. This guy's
Yeah.
not a little bitch. If they see a guy that has like a nice shoulder or something, like they see it,
Yeah.
they be thinking that guy works out, and then
Yeah.
they respect him more. And then we're like, fuck, I need to work out more. It's a little bit that
Yes.
competitive nature. And but through competition, guys actually bond, whereas women, on that aspect, they don't.
Yeah, it's different. Yeah.
It's different.
No, there's
Yeah.
this guy that I've known through karate for about 3 years now. And he was always a little bit heavier. He had
Sure.
like a little bit of a belly, so he wasn't quite as fast, but he was more experienced than me. So whenever we sparred, it was always like super interesting because he knew what to do and he was definitely sharper with the way his like technical skills were. But I was more athletic, so I could kind of like you know strong arm my way into a couple like points here and there, and I'd usually hold my own pretty good, even though he was like higher rank and more experienced than me. and then he moved not too far away, but he went to a different dojo to run it actually. And then he came back and like he had lost like 20 pounds.
Shit.
He'd been going there every single day because he's teaching now. And like we sparred the other day and like just owned me. I was like, oh my God, this guy,
Yeah.
like he went all in, like he went 100%. And like after that, it became the same. Like I gotta get better at sparring.
Yeah.
I gotta start eating better. I gotta lose my weight now.
Yeah.
It's that competitive thing. It's like I gotta keep up with it. It's cool when you have friends that like push you like that. It's all
It's
right. This guy's
definitely
a little
cool.
better now. Now I gotta catch up.
Yeah, it's definitely cool. Yeah, I have this thing even like, oh, yeah, it's a little bit plug then for the Spanish
Yeah.
Benjamin George. Um, he is always like post physique or shut up. But
Right.
I like to play mind games with people like this. I have other friends like him. When they say post physique, I don't say anything, and they don't see me, and then be thinking, is he working out? You know what I mean? So it gets to their head a little bit, and they be like thinking, and then sometimes they see a photo and they think, his bicep has grown a little bit. What is he doing? And that extra mystique or intrigue, they'd be like, nah, he's not gonna own me, and then they're gonna train harder, and I know that they're training harder, so
I love the post physique thing. I don't like to do it. I get like self-conscious. Like I barely even show pictures of my face.
yeah.
So like I'll show stuff here and there. My big thing, I like to like push back against those guys a little bit just for fun. But I'm
Yeah.
always like, I don't care what your physique is. What can you do with it? Like show me how far you can run.
Yeah,
How
yeah,
much can you bench? I want to see the results. I'm like, I'm gonna go run a Spartan race. That's
that's
what I'm
really
doing
good.
with it.
Yeah. No, you're talking about that versatility, really. That's
Yeah,
why I really
yeah,
respect martial artists always, like BJJ, karate, Thai boxing, Muay Thai, whatever.
yeah,
They're quite versatile.
yeah, yeah, definitely.
Yeah,
Yeah, and it's I mean, they do tend to have like the right physique too. Like you
yeah,
look at those guys, but
yeah,
they're almost never like super, super lean. Like it's more of like a solid build,
yeah.
you
You
know,
see
that
it. You see it.
yeah.
They
I know
they they
people,
walk with a certain presence as well, a certain
yes,
gait, a weightiness. When they enter a room, you respect them more or you fear
yeah.
them, depending.
Like I talk about running a lot, and people are always like, "Oh, I don't want to look like a runner." You see
Mhm.
what those runners look like? They're all super skinny. I'm like, "All right, calm down. I'm 200 pounds. Like I'm not like that petite little runner guy. Like that's why I
Yeah.
like the Spartan races because Spartan race isn't just running. It's like, all right, you got to run,
Hmm.
but then you got to pick up this Atlas stone, which is like 100 pounds or whatever
Shit.
it is.
Fuck.
Then you got to carry a bucket with 80 pounds about a quarter mile around this little a little like trail or whatever.
Hmm.
So it's all about like the versatility. You got to do this and this. It's practical.
That's pretty cool. Yeah.
Yeah,
Uh, how
that's
does
that's
one
why.
how does one prepare for such a Spartan race? Like, if somebody were to tune in right now and they'd be thinking, I really think Spartans are cool, but I don't know if it's for me. What can you tell them?
Yeah, it's cool. The first thing I tell people is they always say like, "Oh, I'm not a runner. I don't like running." I'm like, "That's why this is perfect for you because you don't really run. It's more like little runs or sprints because
Mhm.
they've got the shortest race they do, which is definitely the one to start with. It's like I don't know what they call it, but it's technically 4 miles. They call it a sprint, but I think technically it's a 3 mile race, but it's four. But they have 20 some obstacles in it. So you run, and after a quarter mile or half mile, there's an obstacle. And then you
Hey,
run again, and then there's another obstacle.
Ryan, can we pause for a bit?
Yeah,
One
man.
second. I think my no. So you were saying about like it's very like you have to do different things. You're running from
Yeah.
things to things.
Yeah. So there's never a point where you're gonna run like a mile. It's always like a quarter mile or a half mile. There might some of the longer races you might, but not in the sprint. Yeah, and
Sure.
then there's obstacles, and a lot of the obstacles tend to be upper body strength, a lot of hanging stuff. So it's like
Okay.
you got to do the monkey swing on the rings.
Ooh, yeah. You have to
They
have
got
good
the
shoulder joints for that. Yeah.
yeah, they got the what do you call it? The monkey bars. There's a lot of walls you got to hop over, like
Hmm.
8 foot walls, like a 10 foot wall sometimes. A lot of stuff with like grip strength and hanging, climbing a rope. So the training for it's not terribly complicated. My advice would be do some jogs, try to run like 3 to 5 miles, but
Sure.
also do runs where it's more like an actual Spartan race where maybe you not necessarily sprint, but like run hard for a quarter mile or a half mile and then, walk for maybe a minute and then
Yeah.
do another like half mile hard run and then walk for a minute. Because that's really how it is.
Yeah.
You're not just running. And the weird thing with running is like the longer you keep running, like
Hmm.
that object in motion thing is really true. Where
Yeah.
people think that they can't run, and like I go out and run sometimes. I get to like the half-mile mark, and I'm like, today is not the day. Like
Yeah.
I cannot run,
Yeah.
and I just push through it. I get to mile 3, and I'm like, all right, I'm feeling okay, but I'm almost done. And I get to mile 4, and I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
all right, I'm hurting, but I think I'm okay. And
Mm-hmm.
then I'm at mile 5, and all of a sudden it's like I think I could go like 3 more miles. Like I
Yeah.
don't know. Like I'm just this is my life now. I just
Yeah.
run. Like you
Yeah.
kind of gain momentum.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
Momentum.
Spartans, you have to stop a lot. So you have to be able to
Ah,
stop and then start again. And
that's a little bit annoying. Yeah.
there's something, I don't know what it is. It's like this mental thing where it's like, no, we just ran, dude. We don't want to run again. But
Yeah.
you have to
Yeah.
like convince
Yeah.
yourself, like, nope, no, we're going. And like it's hard to get that first
Yeah.
step, but then once you're going, you're fine.
Yeah. It's like a
So
stop start thing. A stop
yeah,
start
so I
thing.
mean,
Yeah.
you gotta be able to run at least a little bit. And then you gotta get some like shoulder strength, get a pull-up bar or find something like that. And like it's hard doing that kind of stuff. And people are like, oh, I can't do a pull-up. I'm like, well, just hang there. Just hang out. See how long you can hang. Just grab the bar and hold yourself up there and see if you can hang for 10 seconds.
Yeah.
Cool. All right, tomorrow I'll do 15. And then just keep working on it. Eventually you start doing some pull-ups.
Mm-hmm.
If you do have a gym, you can do those the assisted pull-ups. I remember like
Yes.
years ago not knowing how to do a pull-up, and I started doing that machine, and it's like you put how much weight on it, and it kind of pushes you up,
Mm-hmm.
so it's not so hard.
Yeah.
And you start having less and less weight, like it's getting easier. And at some point, it's like, all right, this machine's not really even doing anything. I just gotta go to the regular pull-up bar. It's like, oh my
Yeah.
god, I can do pull-ups now.
Yeah.
You know,
I've been on one of those machines as well. They work really well,
it
especially
works
for
super
beginners.
well.
It works really
Yeah,
well.
that's the coolest thing about that machine is like it's one of those things where it's like you start with it and it gets easier and easier, and eventually gets to the point it's like I'm done. I don't need this anymore. Now I just gotta find a pull-up bar.
Yeah.
You know, you throw up into your house. The grip strength thing's weird. Like it sounds weird, but it's hard to hang on to stuff. Like you'll get to a point where your hands will like lock up and you won't be able to open them. So I've had a lot of other Spartan racers have told me to grab like a towel and to throw it over a
Yeah.
bar and
Yeah.
hang by
Yeah.
the towel.
Yeah.
And it's so hard. It's so much harder than it sounds.
Yeah.
There's
It's fucking
that, and
hard,
then
that one.
you can do like farmers carries.
Yeah.
Where you can do anything. You can use dumbbells, but because you're trying to train your grip strength, I'll take the plates.
Yeah.
I'll take the plates that you put on like on the bench press or a squat, whatever.
Yeah.
And I'll try to hold those because it's hard. Yeah, that's another way to work on the grip strength.
Or you can use these things, right? Do you know them?
I do.
Things?
I've got
I
don't know where I've got a couple somewhere.
Yeah. This one's like 50 kilos, 50 kilo one.
I kind of forget about this. I used to be like, well, I'll be like reading through Twitter or something. I just kind of like sit in the back doing this.
It's amazing for grip strength for me. It works.
Yeah, you feel like the arm moving like right here. Like, you can tell it's working.
Yeah, it's working definitely.
Yeah, so grip strength, it sounds cheesy, but Spartan race will change your life. The first time I did one, my friends told me they're like, we're gonna run a Spartan race.
Yeah.
They're like, do you want to join? And I was much heavier at the time. I was just not in good shape. I wasn't even running yet. Like I don't think I'd run anything. Like I'd never ran a 5K in my life.
Sure.
And they're like, we're gonna run a Spartan race. Like, you want to join? No. Like, why not? I'm like, I can't run a Spartan race.
Yeah.
They go, yeah, you can, because we're gonna train. We have time. I'm like, all right. How much time we got? Because we're doing it in October. You got 6 months. Okay, not a lot of time. All right. Yeah, I'm in. Sounds cool. I just wanted to do it. And I mean, I lost like 20 some pounds training for this thing.
Shit, that's cool.
I started doing all this stuff.
That's really good.
Thanks, man. I'd never been able to like climb a rope before in all my life. And the funny thing was, I was at the point where I could just kind of do it. I was struggling. I wasn't very good at it. And then we got to the race, and it was in Atlanta, and it was just piss and rain for 2 days straight. So we show up the day before the race, and we just went to try out the obstacles. Like they'll actually let you try them like to practice on the day before, which is really cool because they got some unique stuff. Like the rope climb, that's not so weird. But some of their obstacles are really strange. Like they have the Z wall thing, which doesn't look so hard, but you put your hands up and hang, and you put your feet down these like little tiny pegs. You're trying to walk. Then you gotta go like around the 90 corner part of the wall, and that part, your grip's starting to weaken. Your feet are slippery because of the mud. So we get up to do this race, and for a white dude, I've actually got pretty decent hops. So my big thing on the rope was I run up and jump, and I get like a pretty like high starting point. And I jump up and grab this rope, and I wrap myself around it, and I just slid right down like a fire pole, and I was on the ground. I looked around, I was like, huh, these things are different when they're wet. And I couldn't do it. And then
Yeah.
the next day when we ran the race for real, I got all the adrenaline going. I'm already a mile or two into this race. And then if you can't complete an obstacle, they make you do 30 burpees before you can continue.
Sure.
So I'm like, all right, I'm not doing 30 fucking burpees. So I climb up and I just did a much tighter grip. I wrapped my
Okay.
legs around it with the J hook real tight, and I almost pulled my shoulder doing it, but I got to the top and I rang the bell, and like, it's, if you can do something that you've never done before, it changes your mindset
Yeah.
on everything. Suddenly everything that seemed impossible to you, it's like, no, that's just hard. I just got to figure out how to crack that one.
Yeah.
And that's Spartan race will completely change the way you think, even if you struggle through it, even if it's hard. It's so much fun.
Hmm.
And
Yeah.
it's like the best reason ever to train.
Yeah. I definitely was interested in it. A couple of my friends wanted to go as well. We ended up not doing it because one guy moved away or something. But
Yeah.
I like the how it looks like a game, because
It's like American Ninja Warrior.
yeah, exactly. So I'd recommend people to do it. So I haven't been running a lot, but I will definitely give it a try. It sounds really cool. How, yeah, you're training lots of different things. It reminds me also a little bit like CrossFit stuff. You're training
Yeah,
different
it is a lot
muscles.
like that. Yeah. It's addicting. I mean, you start out where it's like, I want to learn how to climb a rope. Then it's like, all right, now I gotta learn how to flip this 400-pound tire. How do I do that?
Yeah,
You know, the new one we're trying to do, we ran this one race and they added a pegboard in, and
shit.
like I never, I don't know, I'd seen on TV, it didn't look so hard. I'm like, all right, you just throw the pegs in there, you swing, and like I can't really hang with one arm,
Yeah,
and
it's tough.
I
It's
try to
fucking
swing
hard.
and I miss, and then when you miss, like you just
Yeah,
drop.
yeah. I went climbing with a dude, with a friend, like indoor climbing. They had those
Yeah,
pegboards as well. It's
it's
tough.
hard. Yeah,
It's hard.
the gym that I've been going to, like they're the guys that I train with, and like we all failed the pegboard at the last race. And now we've got a pegboard at the gym. We're trying to figure it out. So
Yeah, that's
I'm
dope.
not there yet.
So I have a question, actually, like a big one. Like,
Yeah,
you've talked a little bit about like path to manliness, and I
yeah,
remember when you first started out, you yourself, like, yeah, almost admitted that there are like lots of masculinity accounts even
there
now.
are. There's a
But
ton.
what is for you then? Yeah, not your success, but what differentiates you, or what made you last so long, or why do people gravitate towards you at all? Like a kind of like an advice for somebody would come like, hey, I want to give like a also like a masculinity brand. How
Yeah,
how would they go about it, or what makes you different?
yeah. A lot of people say that's like, oh, don't get into this niche or this area because it's too crowded, right?
Yeah,
I'm like, yeah, I went to masculinity. It's probably like one of the most crowded ones there is.
yeah,
It's as long as you can do something that's unique. Like you have to have your own way of standing out. So, um, one thing about masculinity, and there's ways around this if you can't do this, I suppose, but if you really want to stand out, if you're capable of being strong and looking good and being like physically capable, and you're a good writer or a comfortable speaker, that's how you stand out. Because
mm,
there's a lot of guys out there that, they know a lot about how to lift, or they're really strong and athletic, but they can't write a 500-word email. They
yeah,
don't know
yeah.
how to promote themselves. They don't know how to share their story.
Okay.
That's one way you can stand out.
Hmm.
The other big one, really, man, just showing up. Like I've
Yeah,
been I've
I know.
been on Twitter and the whole Path to Manliness thing for like 3 years,
Yeah,
and I wish I had a list. I
yeah,
wish I had a list of all the guys that I thought were gonna like compete with me
yeah,
or
yeah,
just be my brother or whatever, like other guys that just stopped. And
yeah,
like I've actually reached out to some guys before too. Like I'm like, hey, just want to check in. Are you doing okay, man? Because you used
yeah,
to write all the time. I really liked your stuff.
yeah,
Are you all right? Do you need help? Anything
yeah,
going on? It's like, oh, I just need a break. Okay, and then they're usually just gone. And then
yeah.
I mean, I had a former coworker that would say, you just got to outlast the bastards.
Yeah, what is it? Last man standing is the tallest. You know,
Yeah, I like that. Last man standing is the tallest.
it's yeah,
So that's a big one. Focus on whatever it is that makes you unique. I,
sure,
I didn't realize this until probably like a month ago or so,
sure.
but I think one of the things that helps me stand out is that I was a pretty average dude. Like
Yeah,
it,
you just
and
told
like
it. Yeah, you
it
said that
sounds
in
like
there.
I'm self-owning myself,
Yeah,
but no, I think I'm relatable. I think people can look at what I came from and say, that guy, he wasn't necessarily super fat, but he's a lot like me. He seems like a cool dude. He probably drank too much beer. He's probably watched too much football back then,
yeah,
played too many video games. But now look at him. He's not into the porn. He's not playing video games hardly ever. I play a little. He's in better shape. He's created something really cool. It's like, if he can do it, like, why can't I? I
yeah,
I, I think people sometimes you see someone where it's like, you look at like some of these world's strongest man competitions, like I'll never look like that.
yeah,
But when you see someone that's not too far from where you're at, it makes you a little bit more relatable, because there are
yeah.
there are guys that are more fit than me. There's guys that
I
are
get it.
smarter than me and whatever, but um I think there's a relatableness that
Yeah,
helps.
that's pretty dope. Yeah, you mentioned uniqueness. Either being able to write or like have some kind of way to transfer your insights, either
Yeah,
through speaking, writing, one of the mediums. You gotta capture it somehow and
yeah,
be a strong man, basically like a manly man. And yeah,
yeah,
and outlast the
yeah,
bastard. Yeah, I mean, like I know, like there were a lot of like those accounts when I met you, like when you had like 1,000 followers. For
yeah.
example, how many followers do you have now on Twitter?
Like 50,000, I think.
Yeah, something
Yeah,
like that. For people
yeah.
that like, oh, Pat the Man. I knew when he had 1,000 followers, and there were like lots of those guys. I remember, and you just beat them all. Like just by being you. Just by being you.
That's good advice right there. Just be you. Um, well, a lot of the competition won't do it 100%. So if you're willing to actually show your face and to present an image,
Yeah, sure.
because there's a lot of guys saying like, hey, you need to go to the gym, you need to do this. Like, I say that too, but I like to send a picture of me in the gym.
Yeah, yeah,
Like, hey, you guys should be running. Here's my time. And like every time I post it, I'm like, someone's gonna give me shit.
yeah, yeah,
Someone's gonna be like, you're not running fast enough or
yeah,
whatever.
yeah.
Because like I don't think it's the fastest time ever, but
No, for sure.
honestly, people don't say that. It's kind of stunning. People are
Yeah,
always like, "Damn, man, that's a good time." I'm like, "Ah, oh, thanks, dude," but I don't know.
yeah.
I run like a 9-minute mile. It's not that fast, but I'm also
My
like a
miles are
bigger
not that
dude.
fast either. So I was a
Yeah,
long distance runner, but my times
that's the
were
best
quite
part. It's
shit.
like, hey, I may run slow, but if I can run 10 miles, you're gonna shut up about it.
Yeah, exactly. For me, it was always a little bit about the distance, covering the
Yeah,
distance, just surviving it, then the
yeah.
time. I was never that fast, actually. But
It's
yeah, yeah,
there's a cool thing. There's something meditative about running. I mean, sometimes I go out for a run and I gotta stop and write down thoughts. Like
yeah,
these cool. You run into these like weird thoughts when you get into this place. Like your
yeah.
mind just goes into strange places when you hit like mile 7 or so.
Yeah, mile 7 is around the point where like the runner's high comes, like all the
Yeah,
endorphins.
I'm
If you want to quit at 5 kilometers, just keep running a little bit. Then something will, like, I call it like a pump, will squeeze, and you will like get this, like the insights, like the epiphanies, the visions.
yeah. It's a cool place to be. Yeah. Um. Yeah. Don't run on a treadmill if you can help it. I know like during the winter you probably have to. Trail running is a lot more fun. Like it's harder, but like I really like going on trail runs.
Yeah, I've seen some of the
Um.
shots that you put like in the group. It looks
Yeah.
really nice.
I'm lucky. I'm in a really pretty spot and there's a
Yeah.
lot of choices. There's
Uh,
there's this really cool trail down
mhm,
near Chattanooga, Tennessee, and
mhm.
it's by this like Volkswagen factory or whatever,
Sure.
and they put together this like nature park, and it's not just like a lap, it's like a spider web of trails, and like you can get lost in it. It's so cool. That's
Yeah.
where I do a lot of my like Spartan race training because it's hilly.
Yeah.
There's
That's
different
pretty
routes
dope.
to take. Yeah,
Uh,
I actually when I run there and when I do my Spartan races, I actually wear like shoes with cleats.
ah,
There's these shoes called the Solomon Speed Cross 4, and they've got like I don't know like a half-inch cleat on them because like running on the trails, especially in the
mhm.
mud and stuff,
Yeah.
like it's tough. You don't want
It's
to have like a
different. Yeah.
slippery, yeah, you don't want a normal running shoe.
Shit.
The good news is, as expensive as they are, they seem to last forever because I've run quite a bit in these things. They're holding up really good.
So we got that. We got like a special plug, guys. No, but it's nice to
No,
have like these insights specifically because you've been running them, and like
yeah,
sometimes gear. Sometimes people want to hear that. I have a question like
yeah,
about the group, the tribe that we're in.
yeah. The Spartan tribe.
Yeah, the Spartan tribe. How did you come about it? Like this idea about the group, and can you share a little bit about the experience? How
Yeah.
why do you have
Um,
it, or why do you like it? Why do you like about it?
So one of my unfair advantages when I started out on
Yeah.
Twitter and writing online was I had groups like that.
Hmm.
I had I had other people that had put together these networks, or I put together a couple networks
Yeah,
too,
yeah,
and they were kind of just, some of them were mindless Twitter groups where we just kind of talk to each other and it's just people kind of bullshit. And then
yeah, yeah,
others were a little bit more constructive where it's like, hey, have you guys seen this new website? Hey, have you seen this thing? Like somebody mentioned the other day, our Spanish friend Benjamin,
yeah. Mhm.
you can buy web domains
Oh
now that
yeah, yeah,
have
yeah.
emojis
Yeah, yacht,
and
yacht.
yacht,
Yeah.
yeah, YAT, I think. And
Yeah.
I was like, I almost bought some, and I'm like, no, stop. It's your impulse issues. You don't need emoji websites. And
Yeah,
maybe it's
yeah.
a good idea and I'm missing out on it, but I'm not
No,
gonna be
no.
a part of it. Um, but anyway, so I had these like awesome networks, and we would kind of share each other's messages, we would boost each other, we would compliment certain things we're doing. It definitely taught us a lot of the stuff because like everybody had certain things they did really well. I did Twitter really well at first.
Hmm.
I had other guys that wrote really good emails. Other guys were better at promoting themselves.
Sure.
And then we're always like talking about like stupid memes that we're coming up with and stuff, right?
Yeah.
So we did a lot of that. And then I started thinking, like, you know what? People are missing out. Like they need some kind of a group where they can hold each other accountable, where they can ask
Sure.
these questions. I'm like, I'm gonna put together a group.
Hmm.
And it was a unique problem. I didn't know how to do it at first. I'm like, how do I even get these people to join?
Yeah,
And I'm like,
sure.
I don't know. I'll do some kind of a limited offer. Like I'll offer it free to the first 50 people or whatever I ended up doing. And then I threw in some people that I knew would be cool. Like I put you in there.
Yeah, yeah,
You
yeah.
know, I put Benjamin in there, Chief Chuck's in there. I put some other guys. Like I need some people that are gonna like stir up the conversation. Because when you create a group, out of the average person, like 80% of them aren't even going to like say a word. Like they're just
Yeah.
not going to participate. So you got to get either a really high number, or you got to start with like a small number of people that
For
you
sure.
know are going to
Hmm.
like contribute. And yeah, it's on Telegram. It's growing. I'm trying to keep adding stuff to it. I don't know what exactly it's going to entail, but
Hmm.
I really like the idea of like having this like tight knit group, and like the
Yeah.
longer it stays together, the more you start getting to know each other, which is really cool. And my whole thought is, like I've had this group text with my high school friends since graduating college.
Shit, that's a long time.
So yeah, like 11 years. I don't even remember how it started. I have no idea how it started. It's one of those things, it's been in my life for so long. I don't
Yeah.
know what it was like before it. And I remember like I would go on a date with a girl, and I'd like not check my phone, and I would come back and I would open my phone up, and she'd be like, does that say you have 80 missed text messages? Like, is everything okay? I'm like, oh yeah, I think there's a basketball game on and all my
Yeah,
friends are
yeah,
probably
yeah.
just talking about it or something.
Yeah, I used to be part
Um,
of that group as well. Like kind of groups like that.
yeah, and I like that group. It's fun to keep up with my friends and
For
stuff,
sure.
but like it's nonsense. Like
Hmm.
they mostly just talk about sports.
Yeah.
Every once in a while something interesting happens, but uh everyone's got groups like that, right?
Yeah.
And it's guys like maybe they're sharing nudie pics, maybe they're sharing, funny memes, they're talking about basketball.
Yeah.
Like I was like, I want a better class of friends. Like I like my friends a lot, but
Yeah.
we're not most of the time we're not talking about anything important.
Yeah. I
And
got you.
like that's what the Spartan tribe thing is. Like, all
For
right, your
sure.
friends are a bunch of drunk assholes. All they do is talk about video games. That's fine. Do you want something better? Do you want to learn about emoji website domains? Do you want to learn how to run Spartan races? Like, here's a group of people that are actually like
Yeah.
working to improve their life.
Improving, self-improving,
Yeah.
self-ascending.
And you start hanging out with these people, and like I
It's
go out in the
insane.
real world sometimes and I forget what normal actually is because I'm
Yeah, yeah.
so wrapped up with people that are always competing at such a high level that
Hmm.
that's become my normal.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
my
That's pretty
normal
dope.
to me is guys that want six-pack abs, people that are writing online, people that own their own domains, all sorts of stuff that the average person doesn't even think about.
No, no.
It becomes your own normal.
Yeah.
Yeah. You
You think?
become like the five closest people you hang out with.
Yeah, definitely. I like we were talking earlier about the boundaries I set. It's
Yes.
insane how you almost take it like for granted. The
Yeah.
people that we are around now with, the people in the Spartan tribe that I really like, or just yeah, like the people that I follow on Twitter. I
Somebody
you know
somebody sent out a tweet the other day. They said, if your circle of friends aren't talking about crypto and altcoins and these kind of things, you need a better class of friends. And I was like, that's it.
yeah,
Because I
that's timely,
mean,
really timely. Yeah,
yeah, it wasn't Spartan Tribe, but it
yeah,
was other people that I was following on Twitter
Sure. Yeah.
that because of other people I knew, they'd follow these people. So I'd find them. And I think it was about a year ago or so, all these people were started talking about this chain link thing, which is like
Oh, chain link.
Bitcoin.
Yeah. Yeah.
I kept talking about the price of chain link going up. And for like probably like 2 months, my girlfriend thought I was talking about fencing. She's like, why do you care about the price of chain link fencing? I'm like, no, this isn't a fence.
Yeah.
But there's like this crypto thing called chain link. And I kept seeing people talk about it.
Sure.
And I didn't know much about it. I'm not a crypto expert, but I know
Yeah.
of it and I pay attention to it and I hear the chatter and I can tell what's popular.
Yeah.
And it was like $1 at the time. And I'm like,
Shit.
all right, I'll play around. So I bought $100.
For
And
sure.
then it
Yeah.
went to like $1.20. I'm like, all right, maybe I got something here. So I'll buy another 100, and I just kind of like dipped my toes in it. I didn't buy a lot. I think I
got
ended up putting like $1,000 into it total.
Yeah.
But it's up 10 times since I bought it.
Shit. Yeah.
When you start like hanging out with people that start telling you about like, hey, check out this thing. Like these are the kind of opportunities that you get with a better class of friends.
Yeah. It's just
or you can have like a guy being like, hey man, I heard Walmart's got a really good deal on TVs right now. It's like, all right, you saved $100. Good job. It's just, there's different levels. And one of the biggest reasons why poor people stay poor and rich people stay rich is because of the people they hang out with.
Yeah, that's sad. And I really like appreciate people who give less fortunate people a chance,
Yeah.
Especially the spheres that we operate in. Sometimes business deals get struck and, like,
There's
people open up, people really open up, like, or they reach their hand down the ladder. Sometimes you have these really generous people, I call them,
I think from the outside looking in, because I remember looking in like this, it looks scammy and it looks like it doesn't work and it looks like there's survivorship bias, but really there's a little bit of survivorship bias, but really in our corner between like affiliate marketing, starting a website, starting a brand, crypto, there are so many crazy opportunities where you can literally go with nothing and start making thousands of dollars.
Yeah.
And like there's not a lot of people that are making $0
that
one month.
Scary, man, if you put it like that.
But there's not a lot of people that go from 0 to $1,000 in a month. But I mean, if you're making nothing, like a lot of the stuff doesn't cost anything to get started. Like, maybe with affiliate marketing, some of it you probably should buy the guide first.
Yeah.
But Amazon, you can, if it's something you're already buying, you can affiliate that stuff for like a low amount of money.
Yeah.
But I mean, there's guys out there they'll just kind of start dabbling in it. It's like, oh dude, I just made $20 this weekend. That's cool.
Yeah.
And then next month it's like, dude, I made $100. And like some guys take that to the extremes. My first year doing this, I think I made like, $3,000 or something like.
I know.
But at the time, I remember like, this is cool. Like,
but it gives you a nice rush. I know exactly what you mean.
Yeah, it's more fun to make money yourself than it is to get paid, even if it's less money.
Yeah,
and then,
definitely.
Yeah, then the last couple of years, it's been going up and up, and this has been the first year really where it's starting to click because a lot of people just see like, oh, he's got 50,000 followers, he's probably making a fortune. They're like, oh, I didn't really set out to just make money. I kind of set out to help men.
Yeah. That's important.
That was my first goal, and I wanted to build something that would last a long time, and I think I've done that. And
yeah, especially recently, how you returned to your blog a little bit. That you did some research on some quality pieces, like the Big Lebowski one.
Yeah, that was a fun one to write. It wasn't my most famous article, and I knew it wasn't going to be, but it was really fun to write.
No, but
and I sat down and watched the movie twice in 2 days.
How you want to set a certain I don't want to call it like brand, like almost like legacy, like, because purpose is tied to legacy, and if you want to survive in these type of spheres with like niches like masculinity, you have to have some like skin in the game.
Yeah, I think most men are searching for immortality, and they say it doesn't exist, but it almost does.
Yeah, in a different way.
If you can write something, if you can create a legacy, you can create a book or a website, like I'll have to figure out what the legacy is going to be for Path to Manliness, because I suppose it's up to me to decide. But either it dies with me, or somebody else takes up the mantle and maybe becomes something else later on. I don't know. I will say it won't be a nepotism thing. It will be whoever deserves it, and I'll probably make my kids make their own thing. Like, no, this is not
that'd be
you.
dope.
Like, first off, they're not gonna be able to get it until I'm done with it. I'm not gonna be
Yeah.
done with this thing for a long time.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
But yeah, I always wanted something that would outlive me.
Yeah,
And I think most men want that. I think that's the dream.
that's really powerful. That immortality aspect. It's part of the hero's journey.
Yep.
Joseph Campbell talks a lot about it.
Mhm.
It's in that book, Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck by Mark
Yeah.
Manson. It's an okay book, but the last part is actually, he quotes research of this guy that I forgot, that in all forms, what a man does, I can't speak that much about a woman, but what a man does, he wants immortality. So if you're building a bridge, if you're building the Burj Khalifa, you want to make something that lasts longer than you. You know, it's gonna keep standing there. And you just talked about the website, the blogs.
Yeah.
Like even now, how I am. If new followers find me, I have this like I've been a little bit like memeified, like the mimetic narrative.
HOOA is definitely
Yeah,
a
yeah.
meme.
The mimetic narrative of HOOA is more powerful than me. Like what you said, like the
Yeah.
mantle. If I strip away my voice, my face, I mean, more and more, and just live more in this mimetic narrative, it just
You do a really good job with the mimetic part of it. I have a fundamental understanding of how to do the meme thing. I kind of get it. You know, like I was saying before I wrote this book, I was saying reclaim your manhood all the time. Like I was implanting in people's head. They're like, that's a weird phrase. I'm like, yeah, it is. It's not perfect, but it works. They got the point across. But it's kind of funny though. And then but I may not have like the perfect grasp of creating the memes, but I understand the importance of it. You've got a better grasp of creating the memes than me. You know, the HOOA thing is huge.
Yeah,
people stick to that stuff.
Yeah, they like it, you know. And you know how I test like my new friends or like a girl, when I cheer, I say HOOA actually. Like when
that's awesome.
Yeah, I say it like because I say it almost daily on Twitter. It's like a reflex, you know. But then I thought I'm gonna test people, and if the meme works, if the person likes you, they will cheer it back to you. So I keep my mouth shut. Then the next time I'll cheer, and then they say HOOA, and then we're like, you know,
that's pretty
like,
cool. That makes you stick out though. It makes you unique.
Yeah.
She's like, oh, I went on this date with this HOOA guy. Oh, there's something different about him. That's what they'll say, you know.
Yeah. No, that's that has been my like unfair advantage because I'm quite the outlier in lots of different things. And you just gotta listen to your, how do you say, you gotta listen to your things that set you apart, you know? And just
I've been noticing like your writing lately has changed. You've like really leaned into your own style, which is really cool. And that's your like new thing now, right? Like you talk about speaking in your own voice.
Oh yeah. Yeah. And I saw you like retweet one of my threads, right?
It was awesome. Yeah, I love it because so I don't like to advertise this too much, but I'm actually a little intelligent. But I'm not a great like I'm not good at like English or reading. Like I'm a really slow reader. I'm more of a math and a numbers guy.
Oh, okay.
And
that has to do with a little bit with your job history, right?
I'm an economics major and stuff, so I'm used to doing like number stuff. I never took the English classes, and like I think I speak fine for the most part, and I know pretty well how I'm supposed to write. But like I was never the guy that like fully got the whole like here's the proper form to write, here's how long a paragraph should be, like
me neither,
4 to 6 paragraphs. I'm like, why does it have to be 4 to 6 paragraphs? Like what if it needs to be 3? What if it needs to be 1? They're like, no, it should never be 1. And they start reading copywriting books, and you're like, wait, my teacher screwed me up here.
Definitely.
Yeah. And now, like, you know, some of the like the most popular and successful emails that you read, like especially in marketing, it's like a 1 line, paragraphs over, 1 line, paragraphs over. Like we have no attention span. You know, that's how you're supposed to write. So the whole idea of like, oh, I don't know how to write, like, dude, that doesn't matter. You know how to speak? Do you know how to share your method or your message? That's all that matters.
I
think everyone should write. I know people say like, oh, I don't need to have a blog. I'm like, that's okay, you don't have to. But do you have kids? Do you want them to know what you were struggling with when they're your age? Because by the time my kid's 33, I'm gonna be this old, like dumbass old man that's like really good with like retirement advice. And I'll be really good talking about like stock tips, and I'll tell them how to drive like the nicest Corvette and how to golf. I'm not gonna remember the advice at 33. When they're my age, I'm like, dude, go pull up my blog from 2021 when I was 33 and read about the stuff that I struggled with back then.
Yeah,
That's what you
that's
want. You
dope.
want to talk to that version of me. You
That's
don't want to
fucking
talk to
dope.
me. And that's the cool thing about writing. It
Yeah,
helps you capture all the stuff that you're going through at a time.
that's
Because
fucking dope.
if you meet yourself 10 years ago, you can't relate to that person. It's a completely different person.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
No, I really related with what you just said now, Ryan, about if so I'm getting older, so I've been thinking about kids. I don't have kids. This is
Yeah.
promotion, like if any women out there, no, but no, my journals are quite personal, but they're really self-reflective through the span of multiple years. I started in 2014, so I'm almost coming up to like 7 years of journaling, and they're like, I have them there. So if one of my kids or grandkids, they find it, they will find quite personal stuff. I don't mind that, but they will then find the struggles, the ups and downs. They will definitely
Yeah.
see like what the fuck I was doing, or like weird shit, drinking too much, for example.
Yeah.
Like they will see those things, and it's just like that's me. Then it's
Yeah.
captured.
Yeah. My girlfriend asked me that a year or so ago because there were all these journals just lying around. She's like, do you want people to read these someday? I go, yeah, I don't know when,
Yeah,
but if I die or something happens to me and the kids want to read through them,
yeah,
maybe read through them first, but then let them
yeah,
read it when it's the right time.
yeah,
Because I'm pretty unfiltered most of the time.
yeah.
So like I tend to write not necessarily like cursing or
Hmm.
sex, but I write about very adult themes. I
Yeah,
write I write about things that I wouldn't want a 13-year-old to read. And they'll be like, oh, I've seen boobs on TV. I've seen that. I'm like, no, it's not the same. It's talking about, doing stuff that just kids don't need to even think about yet. It's not that it's inappropriate or wrong. It's
yeah,
just not for them. And they won't even
yeah.
want to read it, you
I
know?
know what you mean. Yeah. Uh,
Yeah,
I, uh,
like
I I I think
struggling
I
with
once read a piece
demons.
of yours that you like. This was the piece that you wrote like on a whim. You didn't know if you want to share it. I don't know if you took it down even.
I think I
But
did take it down.
yeah,
Yeah.
it was such a raw piece. It was a totally different side of you. It was so
Yeah. Um
yeah,
yeah, I in a past relationship,
yeah,
I dated this girl and she had a kid, and I pretty much raised her for like years.
yeah,
And there was a lot of time where I spent more time with her than she spent with her own daughter. And
yeah,
um people on Twitter like to joke about how, you're a cock if you do this and you shouldn't raise some other person's kid.
yeah,
But I think that misses the point. And I actually fought in court to try to get rights to raise her,
hmm,
because the mother and I at one point actually did agree that that was the right thing to do.
sure,
Her parents saw otherwise, but I tried to do the right thing.
yeah,
And life has a way of punishing you when you do the right thing. Sometimes that was a very costly endeavor, but um I can look myself in the mirror. I didn't abandon her. I tried to do the right thing.
yeah,
So yeah, that was a tough thing. I was really frustrated. I wrote it on her birthday.
yeah.
I think it had been either a year or two afterwards. So
Yeah, at least I felt the raw energy when I read it. It was really late for me, but I definitely can imagine then the type of journaling that you have, that you don't want to share, like yeah,
yeah, but I think it's important to see it. Actually, I bear a lot more myself on the timeline and in my emails and blog, especially more so
hmm,
than the average person does, probably. Sometimes I have a way of doing it subtly. I don't
yeah,
always just come out and say it, but
yeah,
there's I put myself out there sometimes.
yeah. What
I don't
does
know how else to do it. I just couldn't get through my life without kind of processing it and talking about it, and it helps to write it down.
yeah,
Sometimes it just helps to write it down on a piece of paper and then just throw it away, burn it.
yeah,
It's like, all right, it's off my mind. I don't have
that's
to worry
true.
about that anymore.
Yeah, like Hemingway says, like writing is bleeding. Um,
Yeah.
some
Yeah.
things I haven't written about actually. Like sometimes I think, should I write it? I try to edit it, filter it, and sometimes it's just for me then, But it's out there. It's like out
Yeah.
of your mind. I mean, it's like exercised, like a demon. You exercise it, you take it.
Yeah. I wrote an email the other day,
Hmm?
and usually I write it on Word, but I didn't. I wrote it on the email thing, and
Yeah,
I
the
didn't
template.
save it. Yeah, I wrote the whole thing out. It was done. It was good. and it didn't save it. And at first I was really upset about it. And then I was like, you know what? Maybe that one was too personal and it wasn't supposed to go out.
Yeah, yeah.
So
Yeah.
sometimes, sometimes you have to burn your work.
It's a little bit like those divine interventions, like how we started this thing with the bolt of lightning. It
Yeah.
there's all like different timings for different things.
There's a there's a reason why I talk about Thor a lot, and
Yeah,
I
you
carry
are the
the
only person that does Thor's Day in my circles.
yeah.
That's
Yeah,
pretty
I got
cool.
a shirt. Actually, I got a shirt that says Thursday.
Yeah, yeah.
This is like a Viking shirt too. It's got the
Ah,
helm of
that's
Awe. So
the
I'm
offense symbol. Yeah.
yeah, the I Shelmer, helm of Awe. So I'm really into Viking mythology and stuff, and I tell people that like, are you Christian? I'm like, no, I worship Thor, and they think I'm joking. But like, when a bolt of lightning hits your house, it's not that you think that Thor did it, but it's like I respect the power that came from, and you can call whatever divine power you want. Like
For sure.
to me, that's my reminder, and I actually have like a little tiny Thor's hammer that I keep on my keychain.
Mjolnir.
Mjolnir. Got they're easy to find. I've got like 20 of these things. They keep breaking off because I pull them out of my pocket. They fall off. But
Yeah.
it's a reminder. It's a reminder for me of the lightning. It's a reminder of how far I've come. It's a reminder to be worthy.
Yeah, be worthy. Yeah.
It's because there's days where I'm not. There's days where I'm not what I'm supposed to be. And when you have kids and when you have other people reading your work, there's a weightiness to it. You have to be good enough. And there's definitely been days, especially last year, when I wasn't.
Yeah.
And I even when I run, I usually carry it in my hand. It's a good reminder to keep going.
Yeah. Yeah, that's like a token, like yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know if I ever shared that one before.
Yeah,
But yeah,
it's strange.
it's a big thing for me.
Yeah. I didn't know that. Like I know, like for example, Rugged Legacy, Jeff Putnam. He also
Yeah.
wears a Mjolnir around his neck.
Yeah.
And lately on his Instagram feed, he's been getting tatted up with all kinds of Viking lore
Yeah, he's got
symbols that I didn't know.
some really cool Norse symbols on him. Yeah.
Beautiful.
Yeah, he's a
Yeah.
cool dude. He's there's an intensity that comes with the whole like acid true community or the Norse mythology of it. It's definitely like more metal, and
Yeah.
it's not about like serving someone. It's about
Mhm.
you know being disciplined, being independent, being
Mhm.
strong,
Yeah,
working and caring for
definitely.
your community. There's some really cool values in it. I've actually read the Eddas, the Norse Eddas, the poetic Eddas, and
Yeah.
um if anybody wants to get into it, there's a really good book by Neil Gaiman,
Oh yeah, I have it. I read it
Norse
the other time.
mythology.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
It's,
he took all the Eddas, which are very difficult to read because they're so old, and he turned it
uh,
into almost like a
a fable.
modern novel.
Yeah, a fantasy book
Yeah,
almost.
yeah, it feels like reading Lord of the Rings or something. Yeah, that book's awesome.
Yeah, it's good. I binge read
I
it
own
in one
two
sitting. It's
copies.
amazing.
Yeah, there's one up there somewhere, and then I've got another copy of it because the original copy came out different. It was like a black book with a hammer in front of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I might have to reread that again. It's a really cool book.
It's a cool
But
book.
it's got some great stories in it. Stuff like Thor lost his hammer in one story, and the frost giants stole it. So to get it back, him and Loki devise this plan where Thor is going to go into their land, and he dresses up like a woman.
Oh
So
yeah,
he's like
yeah,
wearing
yeah,
a
yeah.
dress. Yeah, he's going to be the bride. He's supposed to be Freya.
Yeah.
He's supposed to be his mom, and
There's some good stories in
he's
it.
like drinking so much beer, and the frost giant's like, oh my gosh, I've never seen a woman drink like you before. And Loki's like, oh no, he's just nervous, or she's just nervous, and this is
Yeah.
how she handles it because she's so excited to meet you. And then like he's eating like crazy, and it
Yeah,
ends
he's
with
eating like
him.
crazy, definitely, because they had
And
like a whole feast because it's like a wedding feast, and he's Thor. He's like munching shit down.
I love Thor, man. He's pretty cool in the mythology, and then it ends with him like requesting to hold the hammer, and when he gets the hammer, he bashes all their faces.
Yeah, that
There's some
there's
fun
definitely
stories,
some
man.
like the guy who created the German dude who created all the fairy tales has like a gory twist to it usually, like these horror
Yeah,
twists.
the Brothers Grimm, is that
Yeah,
what we're talking about? Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Or
those are it's funny because like Disney took a lot of those stories and like turned them into really fluffy kid
yeah,
stories.
but it's
But then
not.
like if you read like the original stories,
It's
it's like they're
horror.
all dark and tragic and
Yeah,
crazy. It's like why did Disney want to turn this into kid stories again?
yeah. But that reminded me a little bit like the type of humor that was in the Norse mythology book. Like it was a little bit different, a little bit different.
It was different. I think, living where they lived, it was cold. You had to be more hardy.
Sure.
There's some different stuff to it too. The one thing that really stuck with me is the idea that Odin could be anybody. Like he was constantly like a shapeshifter. So he would
Hmm.
often show up as like this old hermit or
Hmm.
this old man that would kind of
Yeah.
like see if you would let him into
Ah.
your house.
Yeah.
Like, hey, can I eat? Can I drink? Or whatever. And it's like a reminder to, you don't know who the stranger person might be. Everyone's your brother, everyone's your sister. You
Yeah.
gotta be there and try to help out when you can.
Yeah.
You know.
That reminds me of the Greek mythology. They had that as well. Zeus is like the
Yeah.
upper god as well, similar to Odin. He would do that as well.
Yeah.
And they had
There's a lot of similarities.
yeah, a specific Greek tradition that you had to let them in and stuff like that. Yeah.
Yeah, I've got a rather large Greek mythology book. It's really beautiful,
Yeah.
actually.
Is it the famous one? Is it the Homer Iliad or?
It's got that in there. Hang on 1 second. It's right here.
Yeah, for sure.
All right. So I actually
Let's
haven't
go.
read more than like 2 or 3 stories, but it's called Mythology: Timeless Tales of Gods and Heroes by Edith Hamilton. And I mean,
I've
the
never seen
book
it.
alone, like the cover of it, it's
Yeah,
glorious
yeah.
looking.
That's sick.
Like it belongs on a bookshelf.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I've read a few pieces here and there, but it's got like all those famous Greek tales that
Yeah.
most of them are stuff you've heard of, like the Iliad and the Odyssey and all
Yeah.
sorts of fun stuff.
Yeah, I had like a classical training, like a classic school, and we had like ancient Greek and Latin. I was raised with those kinds of stories,
Yeah.
so I always find them cool. Like I like those movies, like Troy.
Oh my God. Yeah. I watched the director's cut the other day. I didn't know that was a thing. Like, I don't know. It was on some streaming service, and I was just watching it. I was like, I've watched this movie like 15 times. Like, why do I not remember this part? It took
Yeah,
me a while to figure it out.
yeah. Director's cut are usually cooler. Usually cooler.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, reading stories like that, reading in general, that's a great way to set yourself apart, because most people they watch the same movies. Hey, have you
Oh
seen
yeah.
Game of Thrones? Have you seen Breaking Bad? Like, everyone's seen them.
Yeah.
Like, people that read these stories, people that read a little bit, that's a big reason why some people have so much more to say.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah,
It's
that's a tip. Like that versatility that we've talked about
yeah.
last time in terms of like, I mean, like training that you were talking about. I
Hmm.
like to have versatility in the intellectual realm. If you would look at the books that I have, like there are a lot of like just thriller books, like bestsellers.
Yeah.
That's where my writing style comes a little bit from, that explosiveness.
Yeah,
But I
your
read
stories read like a
insane.
novel. Yeah.
Yeah, but I read all kinds of different shit. Like I read biographies, I read neuroscience, this Norse mythology. I have
Yeah.
that this book that gets like on Twitter a little bit famous.
Yeah.
Hagakure, the Japanese
I've
samurai
I've
book.
read a little bit of it. It's a hard book to read for me. I don't know what it is.
Yeah, of course I have the Musashi shit, like Book of Five Rings, and yeah.
Yeah, that's a cool one. Joe Rogan got me into that one because he's got like the tattoo of Musashi on his arm.
Oh shit! I did. I
Yeah.
knew he had a tattoo. Didn't know it was Musashi.
Yeah. He talks about it every once in a while. There's probably like 10 podcasts or so where he's like, yes, Musashi
Shit.
from Five Book of Rings.
Oh, okay. I have to, yeah, I have to check that out. I didn't know that
Yeah.
actually. I knew he was a warrior and stuff like that, but yeah.
Yeah. So it's a pretty cool book. Yeah, that's one thing. I don't know if you had this issue, but last year with COVID and all that stuff and just how dark everything was, I had a hard time reading. Like,
Oh,
I only finished like 2 books maybe.
yo, bro. I have a list of books. I call it just the
Yeah.
Fury list. I've been reading the last couple months so much because I had some free time, and in 2 weeks,
Yeah.
I read more than I read the whole last year. I wrote
Dude, I
down. It was
believe it.
like, why I have this sick momentum? Why haven't I read last year?
Yeah.
So yeah, definitely a lot of things were happening that maybe even my conscious mind was not picking up.
Yeah,
can
I
only
think it's
imagine with
important
other
to tell
people.
other people that though. Like, I think everyone struggled in some way, and it's nice to like hear other people say like, yeah, dude, I didn't really do what I wanted to do either. Okay.
Yeah, so I slipped a little bit in my passions are like whiskey and cigars, but the passions can turn into vices. So
Yes.
last year it became like, instead of like, when you dip into like a hobby, It's a retreat, like a retreat and a treat. But if you constantly do it, it becomes something toxic, actually, like a miasma. So
I know exactly what you mean. I never thought of myself this way. It's like I've smoked cigarettes and quit like a handful of times, and like I don't really smoke anymore, but it was never hard for me. People always said how hard it was to quit. So I never thought of myself having an addictive personality, but I kind of do.
yeah,
When I got into the running, it was like, oh, I'm gonna run one 5K, and then like less than like 2 years later, I'm running an ultra marathon. It's like, all right.
It's that obsession that you're talking about, right?
Yeah, I did the same thing with the writing, Twitter. At one point, it was like, I just want to see if I can, get a few people to follow me, and then it was like, how do I get more? I didn't really even plan on doing this. It was just I was already writing, and I thought it'd be cool to put it online, and then it's like, all right, I'll put it on a website. All right, how do I get people to the website? I don't know. Twitter seems like a cool idea. I get Twitter, and the next thing I know, I'm like, all right, I got a little addicted. It's
I have that as well.
I think a lot of people have it. I think you gotta be careful with it. You got to use it the right way, because I've definitely done it the wrong way too. Where I've gotten
then you
too addicted
self-destruct a little bit, in my opinion.
Yeah. I've had moments in my life where I was like drinking way too much, in college and shortly after, like most people do. And now as I've gotten older, I've learned to channel that addiction into like more healthy things.
I feel you.
Yeah,
it's a lot about self-awareness. I want to always tie it to journaling.
That's good.
Like, either you gotta have, in my opinion, how do I say this? Like, you have some savantic people, like autists, they have good memory. Let's say, know, if you're gonna do a certain ritual or a task XYZ, or no, like, I'm not talking about like productive tasks, but you're gonna fuck up. You're gonna come in a vicious, destructive cycle. You have to be aware. So either you can just make a mental note, but if even what I do, the desk where I work at, I just have my journal open, just like you. I see sometimes jotting things down. It's just open, and if I'm thinking like, shit, my head hurts a little bit here, then I'm thinking maybe I drank too much coffee or too little coffee, and I just note it down. And I'm the experiment, and nobody has to read it. And or too much sugar, too little sugar, overtraining, undertraining. It's always those things.
That's one of the coolest things about writing. I think people they think of journaling the wrong way. Like, yeah, you can sit down and like write like a little paragraph about what you did for the day. And that's what most people do. But like there's days where I do it more like you said, where it's more analytical, and it's like, well, felt foggy today, skipped my workout, didn't want to write anything. I'm surprised I'm even opening this. And then I like go back a page, and it's like, oh, I drank too much last night. Yeah, life has consequences. It's like I wasn't hungover, I just felt foggy.
That's it. And it's also like a roadmap, like a feedback loop for yourself, because you saw what you did, like
and like I think we get so caught up with like the really big important things, we don't notice the little things. It's like, oh yeah, I ate some of my kids' Easter candy, that's probably why I gained weight, I forgot I did that. But when you start like tracking all the stuff you're doing, like you notice like all the stuff that's like holding you back, and like it becomes this point where it's like, all right, either I fix these problems I'm aware of, or I just knowingly go through life that this is something I'm just gonna have to have holding me back.
I can share a little bit, like tied to what you asked about the demoralizing dark period last year. Like, for example, last year I was talking to this girl. It didn't end up well, so I'm not like this super cool like game Playboy Twitter account or anything, but I noticed the pattern with her, and I captured that in my personal journals. And this girl was also quite self-reflective. We had some deep talks, and she made me really aware of that female, like the archetype inside you, that Carl Gustav Jung likes to talk about. That got really expressed through her, that she was basically a pattern. And she said, yeah, you're like my pattern as well. The things that I was not really healthy, but I captured those things in my journal. And now when something happens with another girl, I'm like, hey, like an alarm bell goes off, or I can just flip through it, and then I can stop myself, without going down this where I will lose myself. I know myself a little bit, I will lose myself, so.
Yeah, I think it's huge. That's interesting, man. You track like the conversations that you have with girls on through journaling too?
It depends on what the conversation is. Or sometimes I do it. I think I listen to my body. Like, there's some really personal ones. If like the girl would find this journal, she would not like it. But it's more like they say you can't solve a girl, right?
Yeah, I agree with that.
Or they don't want to be solved or whatever like that. But I'm quite like an analytical person. What people don't know, like I'm an engineer actually. Like so
Yeah.
you have to be trained to solve problems. But I don't like it. Yeah, with a woman when you can't solve because it isn't meant to be solved sometimes. But what I then just do is a little bit like a mind dump. It's like how I'm just gonna act, how I'm gonna approach this. Nothing's gonna
Yeah.
be solved, but if this comes up again, don't do this or blah blah. So there's some really like almost like quite deep conversation based like puzzles. I call them like puzzles, like Sherlock Holmes. You know, like yeah.
That's neat. Yeah, it's interesting. Girls can't be solved. I used to think about it the same way, where I would see a girl, I'm like, what's her deal? What's her whatever? And
Sure, yeah,
it took me a little while to figure it out, but like I started noticing the pattern. This
yeah,
before I was writing, but
yeah,
I started noticing this pattern where I'd be like visiting my friends and I'd be more carefree, more
yeah,
relaxed, more having fun, just not caring. And I would, talk to these girls, and you approach a girl in a new town differently than you approach a girl like in where you're living. Because
for sure. That's 100%.
when you go to meet a girl like where you live, it's like, all right, I don't know why, but your mind always goes there. Like, what if I really like this girl? She seems really cool.
Okay, yeah. If you're gonna
What
fuck
if
up,
we
yeah, yeah,
enter a serious relationship? And you start thinking about how, like, even though like you just met her, you start thinking about all these crazy things. Like, dude,
yeah,
what
yeah,
if she's the one? And you get all wrapped up in your head and you
yeah,
screw it up because you get too nervous about it. Like, she's so perfect. So I mean, like when they say don't pedestalize the girl,
yeah,
because like you don't know what her issues are yet.
yeah,
But then like when you visit your buddy like 300 miles away, it's like, all right, I am here for the next 40 hours. I'm just gonna have fun. If I screw it up, whatever. There's gonna be
yeah,
another one over there. And then I go home and like worst case scenario, she makes fun of me on Facebook. Who cares? I can always
yeah,
block her. And
yeah.
like, whenever I was traveling, I'd always like hang out with my buddies and
Mhm.
like I'd always have some girl I'd have at the very minimum like an interesting conversation with
For
where we'd
sure.
hit it off.
Hmm.
Usually a little more, maybe. We won't go into too many details. But it's so different when you start approaching these like things carefree. And like for me,
Yeah,
like I'm no guru because like I haven't been in the dating world for like a few years really.
for sure.
So
Okay.
but
Yeah, no,
like the more like laid back and carefree you are and like just kind of fun loving, that's usually what kind of clicks with girls, at least in the beginning.
yeah, I want to like share. Haven't had the opportunity basically to share with the audience, but like I said, I'm not this like player type style, but I want to give weight to the classic affirmation that if you focus on your mission, it will come so much
Yeah.
easier. I don't know what it is like now that I've come to a certain age or what I'm doing. I legit don't give a little bit like that carefreeness that you described. I legit don't
Yeah.
give a shit if it goes wrong. Like I can give a story. I was at a date with this girl. I was thinking I spent way too much money on this girl that she doesn't like me. I knew it. There was no chemistry. And to put it bluntly, there was not going to be put out anything, you know? I felt it, but I just thought to myself, you know what? I don't give a fuck, actually. I had like
Yeah.
this epiphany, like, I'll just go home. I'll be me, like with the mission, you know, with me. And I didn't actually
Yeah.
want it. Don't get me wrong, she was good looking, so it would have been like, yay, you know, like she was good. Uh, but I was thinking, like, I don't give a fuck anymore. And I remember though, in line with what you said, like the non-carefree part, that actually this girl was the most money I spent on a date, contrarily to the girls that I spent the least money on, where I just had fun with them, but there were no expectations, and those led to like yeah, just this childlike connection that you have with some women. It's more magical, you know, especially when you focus on your own locus of focus, your own shit, you know.
They can tell.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
they know. It's funny how that works, isn't it?
yeah, that's
So what happened with the girl then? So like
yeah.
you were more carefree, like
Yeah.
did you start noticing?
No, actually, with that girl, it didn't escalate with that girl. But how do I say? In the moment, I was just carefree, and I didn't get, how do you say, like fidgety or anxious. I just knew she
Yeah.
didn't. How do I say this? I knew there was not going to be more dates, you know. So I just tried to like
Yeah.
I just thought, you know what? I'm just with this person. She was interesting. Let's just buy her the fucking food, you know. Just have fun for what it was worth.
Yeah.
I
I
I,
always
I did
liked
not
it.
become self-conscious, you know. Maybe in the past
Some
I would
guys
have been
get
like, fuck, you know, like. But no, I was just
some guys get too like self-conscious and upset and nervous. Like
yeah,
I got to a point where it was like this is something I guess I did take from like the PUA and the game
Sure.
guys, and they're always talking about how like it's not she's not worth your time, and you know she is like if you're gonna go out on a date with a girl, it better be something that you're actually having fun with.
Yeah.
And like I want the girl to have fun too. Obviously, I'm not really into the whole game thing like that, but I like the idea. Is like, wait, I don't even know this girl. What if she flakes?
Yeah.
What if
They
she's
flake a lot.
weird?
They flake a lot.
Yeah, yeah. That's why I never did the online dating much. They just flake too much. So I usually meet people in person. But anyway, like
Mm-hmm.
if I was gonna go on a date or something, that's like, all right, I'm gonna do something that I want to do. Like I'm
I
gonna
agree.
go to this restaurant that I want to eat at, or I'm gonna go to this trail that even if she doesn't want to go, I'd have no problem going there anyway. Like that'd be a fun place to go.
I agree.
And it changes the whole frame of the conversation. And one, it's kind of funny how this works. It makes it more fun for you because you get to do what you want.
Mm-hmm.
But two, she senses it. Like she can
Yeah.
tell that you're like doing what you want to do, and
Yeah.
she's coming along, and you're trying to like lead her down your lifestyle. And I think one reason why that works so well is it's authentic.
Sure. Yeah.
Whereas there's a lot of guys out there that are so interested in making sure she likes him
Yeah. Yeah.
that they try to become her. It's like, all right,
Yeah.
I want to be her perfect boy. It's
Yeah.
like, what? No, that's weird. Like, be who you want to be, because like otherwise you're gonna have to live this fake life for the next 30 years or whatever.
Yeah. No. Yeah. Like when I was younger, I had a lot of those issues. Like I said, because of like the outlier
Yeah,
vibes. So
I think
it's
I
just
think
because
most men
I've
do.
come to so terms with myself, come to grips with myself. So I sometimes lose my temper, but I'm quite like zen in what I like. Like this internal
Yeah,
validation is really powerful for me these days. Like a self-respect, like looking yourself in the mirror, like you said. If I can't look
yeah,
myself in the mirror, I know I'm fucking up. And but
yeah,
it's just in these little things that I do, and then just one of the areas in my life could be dating or girl, and she'll do something and she'll sense that I don't like it. I don't even have to say it sometimes. It's just like, oh, you don't like it. I'm like, yeah, it's not gonna happen, and it's just these boundaries just come out of you just by being your optimal self. So
yeah, yeah, definitely. Um, I mean, if you pick the wrong girl, it throws your whole life into disarray. Like have you ever been with a girl where it's like you look back after a couple months and like I didn't realize how much I've been changing and how different I've been acting. Like what even happened to me?
yeah.
When I was younger, I had that happen a couple of times, and then you get out of the relationship, and all your friends are like, "Oh, dude, so glad you broke up with that girl. I didn't like the man you were becoming." It's like, yeah, thanks, man. You could have, maybe told me.
But this is a little bit that brotherhood thing, a little bit that we have on Twitter.
Yeah,
At least, like you were talking earlier about like how we meet people on Twitter.
yeah,
Twitter for me has been legit like Tinder without a homosexual relationship in terms of finding brothers. This is not to
it really
this.
is.
Yeah, because like for example, I met a guy. He lived in my city from Twitter. He was just in my country, and then we went out to bars and stuff like that. But then COVID hit. But afterwards, I was telling him some like issues with the girl, and he was like, "This is bad news, man. Cut it off." Or
Yeah,
because he was also into these things, like the red pill PUA stuff, but he had
hmm
like an objective take on it. He was quite grounded, but he
yeah,
could then see
that's
like,
cool.
bro, you're just losing your shit. Basically,
Yeah,
he doesn't even have to label it, but he was so thinking about these things, like game as a game, not to lose yourself. And he was like, yo, bro, you're losing your shit. And now every
yeah,
time I say I know this new girl, he's like, yo, remember last time? I'm like, I'm good this time, or like, so it's that accountability, man. Yeah, I mean,
yeah. It's huge. Twitter bros are a little bit more like a brother than like a friend, where they're not afraid to like step on your toes and be like, listen,
yeah,
like you're getting out of line here. Yeah, it's cool. It's funny. I think the average person doesn't think about like meet somebody online or whatever, but
yeah,
I've done the same thing. I've met people from Twitter too.
yeah. It's
A
nice.
couple, like a handful of people actually, like a dozen or so.
It's really nice.
Um, yeah, I got to meet Deep Thrill before he
Oh,
was actually like showing his face and stuff. I
yeah,
remember
that's cool.
I'm like, oh, dude, what if he's a fat dude? Like, no, he's cool.
Yeah,
He's a
I
good
even
looking
thought
dude.
Deep True. I even thought that he would not be Caucasian, like because he has such a strange mind or something. I thought, who?
I thought he was European, so I
Yeah.
was
Oh, but his
surprised to find
origins
out he
are a
was
little bit
American.
European. He told me. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So I met him, met a few people. We actually like spent a weekend together on this little like retreat at this like mountain house. It was like a
Uh,
cabin. It was pretty
that's dope.
cool. Yeah, and it's man, it's neat talking to other people. So
Yeah.
um that's another cool thing about writing, because
Hmm.
like we talk about how hard it is to meet people that are like you,
Okay.
but when you start writing and expressing what you
Ah,
believe in, like you put your ideas out in the world and the people that like your ideas will come find you. It's really cool.
yeah. So this is not a plug, but so I use the evergreen version of Hype Fury. So I
Yeah.
forgot a little bit my blog, so I polished it up like last month or something. That's why I started writing more. And but I put like one tweet like constantly on the like a retweet.
Yeah.
There was one guy who was following me. It was a new dude because I have so many followers now. But it's more like,
You got a
uh,
lot.
but it's more like I remember the old dudes like you. I don't because it will be hard for me to keep up. It will be like a huge social life.
Yeah.
But there was one dude. He said like, "Hey, I read this story. I really liked it. Is there more?" I said, "Yeah, bro. It's called a blog. Like here's the link." And he
I
and
know people do that. It's funny.
yeah, that was a little bit strange, but I gave him the link. But that's what I like. I got a click. He liked the story, so that means he must have crazy stories as well, or he can write or whatever. So yeah.
That's pretty cool. Yeah, people ask you, like, "Hey, do you have any stories about this?" I don't know. Go to the website and search, man. Come on. But I get it. I try to like. It's hard though, because you want to like give them the right story. It's like, man, I got over 100 blog posts up there, right? So
Yeah.
I mean, I go
Shit.
back to some of the ones from like
Fuck.
2 years ago, and I'm like, I don't even know who wrote this. Like, I don't remember writing this.
Yeah. Thank God I don't have that many blog posts, but you can imagine like the persona that I've been portraying with the Stokes smoking. I get the DM a lot. What do I smoke or something like that. It is
Yeah,
one of the biggest frequently asked questions. So what I just did make like a PDF like on Gumroad, and if it's a bro, I'll give it to him as a gift. Or
that's
if
pretty
it's like
cool.
or if it's like a customer, I'll say, hey, it's for a small fee, you can buy it here. Or
So it's like a list of like what you smoke, like all the
yeah,
cigars.
and I give like you what do they say, like for branding, like write to your old self what you would give
Yeah,
advice. This
that's
whole document is about 10 pages, what I would tell myself in terms of like cigar, just how to cut it, like how to smell it, like enjoy it, not to fuck up like
yeah,
the first 10 to 20 that I fucked up, basically just not doing properly. But
yeah,
I try
yeah.
to
I've
give
used Bic
that
lighters
because
on cigars before, and people were like, "Dude,
yeah.
what are you doing? You uncultured swine." It's like, all right, my bad. I didn't know I was supposed to use matches.
Yeah, no, but specifically with cigars, for me, it's a little bit like aesthetic and cultural and like an art almost. And some
Yeah,
people get turned off on it. Like when they have a bad one, the first one, they
yeah.
think it tastes like shit or something. Or I don't know who gives them the weird cigars, but I try to at least make the first one like a good choice so that they can decide, I like it or not.
A lot of people that just I don't know why they can't get into it, but there's definitely a masculine quality to smoking a cigar. Like there's something really cool about it.
Yeah, I like it.
I used to smoke a lot more. I mean, I just smoked in general, so I just any
Yeah,
time I could smoke. I
yeah,
like doing it,
yeah.
but like lately I've gotten away from it, and I try to do it to celebrate now.
For sure.
So if something really important or special happens, I'll have one. So
That's
yeah,
good.
it's too bad you're not in the States, because there's a really cool cigar shop in my town that just opened up, and it's
Next
like a
time we'll go,
full
man.
on, heck yeah, man, it's like a full on lounge. Like you can just hang out in there and smoke. They got a little mini fridge in the back with sodas and beers and all that other stuff. They need
That's
whiskey.
dope.
I wish they had whiskey there, but otherwise it's a really cool little spot, and they're super friendly and helpful. 'Cause, like I've probably smoked a couple hundred cigars at
Yeah,
least,
man.
but like honestly, like people are like, what do you smoke? What kind do you like? I'm like, I don't know. I just kind of like walk in and I pick the one that smells good. Like I'm or I asked for advice,
Yeah.
so I'm pretty, not knowledgeable about cigars.
No, but definitely what you just said, like Ryan. I actually give that advice number one. If you don't know what you want to smoke, tell what you like to the dude.
Yeah,
He's there for a
so,
fucking reason, actually. Like, tell
yeah,
him
and
I
they're
only have this much money in my pocket. I'm only willing to spend X, Y, Z. It should not be this strong. Should have like a chocolate flavor. You will get like almost like a chocolate type candy bar cigar. Those
yeah,
exist.
yeah. There are some like sweet cigars that taste really good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I do like them once in a while. I got into
Mhm.
I don't know how this even started, but I got into pipe smoking for a while.
Shit, I want to do
You
that as
know,
well, but here, because
oh
of the
man,
lockdown, I can't. How do you say, have what I call like almost like a ritual conversation with an old man. I want to
yeah.
like say like I want a pipe, and then he will say, I want to talk with this old man. He will send me the pipe. Yeah. What kind
That's
of
pretty
pipe do you
cool.
smoke? Do you have it, or
Yeah, it's around here somewhere. It's hang on one second.
I got really into it as well, man.
Okay, I'm back.
Yeah, let's go.
So, um, yeah, I don't even know what it's called anymore, but I think anything like crazy or expensive or special, but it's just a nice, simple little
Oh shit,
classic pipe.
let's go,
Yeah,
man.
I've actually got two. This is I don't know why this is actually my cheaper one, but this one seems to work better.
Yeah.
But man, this is one of those things where you gotta find some dude that's like a blogger. You gotta like read about how to do it. Cause like the first time I did it, it was like going out like really fast. I'm like, I'm
Oh,
not doing this right.
yeah.
So then I started reading, it's like you're supposed to pack it differently. That's like I forget exactly how it's done, but I think
Hmm.
you put in like a good amount and you push it like really gently, and then you put a little more and you push it a little bit harder, and then
Okay.
you put in like a little tiny bit at the top, and that's the one you put in like the hardest or whatever.
Yeah.
Um yeah, so you want it like kind of loose at the bottom, and it
Hmm.
makes a big difference. You got to get like the airflow going,
Yeah.
and
That's pretty dope.
it's
Uh,
pretty cool. I haven't used it in a long time, actually. I kind of forgot about it, but
yeah.
there's definitely like an art to it. It's
Yeah.
not like smoking a cigarette where it's just like, I want to smoke right now, I want to pop it in, I want to light it up and then throw it away. Yeah, this is more like, I'm going to take like 20-30 minutes, I'm going to sit down and I'm going to
Yeah.
actually enjoy myself. And yeah, I don't know, it
Yeah.
kind of
That's
conflicts to my
dope.
running a little bit. I think that's why I haven't been smoking so much. But
I
for a
I have
while
a
there,
cool
like
I have a cool
that was kind of
story,
like my
Ryan.
way to just kind of chill out instead of like,
Yeah.
drinking too much. I would just have a pipe and hang out for half an hour and kind of calm down.
Hmm. Yeah. No, I wanted to share a story. What you said about the contrast versus a pipe and a cigarette. So I
Yeah.
was in Estonia. I had to catch my flight back home to where I live, and there was a cigar. No, a smoking lounge, not a cigar lounge. But I walk in. There's one person smoking a cigarette. I sit down. I had one cigar left that I bought, like in Tallinn, the capital. I
Mhm.
just wanted to get it out of me. Then I would not smoke for a long time, you know. So I had this
Yeah.
beautiful cigar.
Oh, I know.
I light it up just enough time before like the boarding on the gate, you know. So you have a cigarette smoker, then you have me, a cigar smoker. I kid you not, all the flavors of smoking walked in because the door opened and a vapor then came in. So here was the cigarette smoker. I was here, a vapor, and then of course in my head, this is like coincidence, right? I was thinking we're missing the pipe smoker, and in comes in this gentleman,
That's
old
awesome.
dude with like a
Yes.
with a kit. Like no, you can see that the uniform was made for traveling. You know, like an old dude who travels a lot. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And he just sits down and he like takes out this kit, and it's a beautiful pipe, and he like starts stuffing it, you know, and like very like mastery, you know, he's done it a million times probably, like
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
and he likes it, and so it was one of the most magical moments in my life because there were four types of smokers, and I could just, how do you say, you could see the differences. It was so strange. So you had the cigarette smoker was like on his phone, you know, and I was
Yeah.
like, I was pretty hungover, I think, like I was like staring into the air, and you had this old man who was a little bit in a rush, and you had this vapor, and it was really strange to see the differences between. Yeah.
Yeah. You can tell by the way they smoke. I mean, there's just different qualities. Like when I um when I quit smoking cigarettes,
Yep.
I tried to do the whole vape pen thing,
Yep.
and like first off, I went to go buy one, and the guy's like explaining it to me, and he's like, "Well, you gotta get this thing and that, and you need your adapter and all that." I'm like, "Listen, I'm not stupid, but this is just way too complicated for smoke. Just what do you got that's like the convenient thing?" So they
Yeah.
have like those little ones where it's like disposable. I'm like, just give me one of those. Like, I
Yeah.
don't want to like become a connoisseur of e-cigs. I didn't know if I liked them yet.
Yeah.
And of course, I smoked it. I'm like, all right, this is nothing like a cigarette. I tossed it and just went, oh my, I guess I'm just gonna quit.
Yeah.
But to me, I just couldn't do it. I always, especially when I'm drinking, I always tell people, I'm like, vaping feels like masturbating, whereas cigarettes were like having sex. Like it's similar, but it's not as good.
Yeah.
I
Uh,
just I can't do it.
I've never had it, but what do they say? It feels like it's smoking you or something.
Yeah, that's funny. And I'm not sold on it being healthier either. Like you still get like water vapor and stuff in your lungs. That can't be good. So I don't know anything about it.
Yeah.
I'm no expert. I don't know. Yeah, I quit
Hmm.
4 or 5 years ago, and
Sure.
you know, you don't really ever quit. So if
No.
I'm ever at a blackjack table and I start winning, I'll start smoking.
Yeah. No, but yeah. Yeah. So Ryan, we have been going on for quite a while actually. Like it's like a
Yeah,
nice.
almost 2 hours, I think.
Yeah, it's a decent like a decent like a chunk like a lots of stories like good things
Yeah,
to delve into. Like what I really liked was like the themes that came out. You know, the
yeah,
masculine themes that if people listen to this, that they that they learn how to, because there's a lot like different narratives that try to take over men actually that we haven't really touched upon. But I know you talk about it sometimes in the groups. You know
right.
that these young men tend to get lost and they need good role models. So I want to thank you like for sharing the more powerful like beacons of stories for that. You know, I want to thank you for that.
Thanks, Fury.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And yeah, you can close it off with anything that you want to share to anything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I'm pretty easy to find. Path to Manliness. You can just Google it. I'm on Twitter, most active. I'm pretty active on Instagram. If you're looking for like a group of better people, check out my Spartan tribe. If you can't find it, we'll probably put in the links below, or you can just DM me. And then this is the best place to start. I wrote this book. It's called Reclaim Your Manhood. This is like the little handbook for every young man. This is what I would give myself if I could talk to my younger self. It's pretty easy to read. It's less than 100 pages, and it's only $5 for the ebook. Um, so that's if you want to get your life back on track. That's your little guide, and it's a good start. And from there, you can you can go deeper if you want to. But Fury, this has been awesome, man. I forget how much I love doing podcasts until I do one with someone like you. It's
Yeah.
fun, man. It's always a
I
good
could
time.
tell the how to say like the charisma and the spontaneity and like
Yeah,
the, yeah, in the moment that you have like these whims or like or you ask me a question and then it starts going. I was like he really likes it because sometimes guests
yeah.
are a little bit like but I could tell that you like them. Yeah.
No, I enjoy podcasts. They're fun.
Yeah.
I didn't do enough of them last year. I need to get back into it.
Yeah. So you should no, you should definitely do it because you triggered actually for us to do this. So
Really?
to the audience, so if you love this, I'll go on like Pat to Manliness his podcast. So
Heck
thanks
yeah.
again.
Yeah.
Hua.
Yeah, I'll do another one. HOOA.
Enjoy the day, man.